Hello, my horror fan friends. Welcome back into the Chrono Cabin. So today, my good buddy and I are going to go see Evil Dead Rise, and we're both big fans of the Evil Dead series, so I am really excited to see this. Thought I'd do something a little different this time and actually take you out of the cabin and go along with us to the theater, and we'll give you our initial spoiler-free reactions right when we get outside of the theater. Then we'll come back here to the Chrono Cabin, and I'll give you my final spoiler-free thoughts on Evil Dead Rise. Enjoy. Now I'm going in completely unassuming because I haven't seen any trailers, I haven't listened to anybody talking. So I'm kind of excited to see what it's all about. My expectations are set pretty low, but I'm also set kind of high because I really like The Evil Dead. Carlos, what do you think?
I don't know. I think I haven't really seen much about it, so I'm kind of curious. The more creepier, the better. And maybe there might be a couple chainsaws or something, you know. We'll see how they mix it up. I don't know.
Chainsaws are always good. All right, Carlos, what did you think?
Wow. Very intense. Not a movie to bring the kids to, but but if you like the original Evil Dead, you'll definitely enjoy this one, I think.
I was fearing it would be dark, but it was really dark, very intense. It was almost like a horror thriller. I thought it was great, and it was great to see it in the theater with the sound. The sound is so cool. So more on that back at the Chrono Cabin. So I don't have a bad thing to say about this movie. I just really enjoyed it. Just to get a few things out of the way, I haven't watched any other horror YouTube channels to see what they were saying about this movie. I didn't read any reviews. I didn't even watch any trailers. I really just wanted to go in just not knowing a thing about this. So I didn't read much about it. The only thing I did read after I got back was I just wanted to find out where it was filmed. And it was actually filmed in New Zealand and parts of Ireland. And that makes sense because the director is Irish. Very good director, by the way. Again, this is all spoiler free. The whole movie really revolves around this family in this old broken down apartment building that's set for demolition. They come upon the Book of the Dead, and that Book of the Dead, of course, turns their lives upside down in a terrible, terrible way. Bad. The actual setting is supposed to be Los Angeles. They probably just got a few exterior shots. Really, it didn't matter where they filmed this because it really all took place inside that building. In fact, they're trapped in the building, so there is kind of this claustrophobia type thing, and I think it's clever how they unearthed the book, so to speak. I will say this, it's a very big deviation from the classic Evil Dead. We are a long way from Bruce Campbell's iconic character, Ash, making us laugh with all of his physical comedy and with all of his cheesy one-liners, which I absolutely love. But this is a very different movie. This is a big deviation from that storyline and even the storyline from the 2013 Evil Dead movie, which kind of maintained the same concept of young kids going to a cabin and then just all hell breaking loose. So this is really a new storyline. In fact, this movie can stand on its own if for whatever reason you've never ever seen an Evil Dead movie or even watched Ash versus the Evil Dead, know nothing about it, you can go into this movie and you won't be lost. You won't be trying to figure out, oh, what was that, a callback to this or that? It really stands on its own. I would go so much to say is this movie is a brand new storyline. However, it still involves the Book of the Dead. But the weird thing about the Book of the Dead in this is the book itself, it's very ancient looking. They made it look very creepy, something that you really don't want to open. If you look back at the classic Evil Dead movies, the Necronomicon or the Book of the Dead has kind of a face on it. It looks a little funny in some ways, and it almost takes on a comedic character in Army of Darkness. Now, we're a long way away from this. I knew they were going to make this film dark, okay? I did not expect the intensity. The intensity was incredible. It's a non-stop ride, and even in the old Evil Deads, they would have like this incredible wall of sound, and then at times it would drive Ash's character nuts, but then everything would just go silent. They did that a few times in this movie, but it was so short-lived, it was very brief. There was really not a lot of time for you to kind of come down off the anxiety of this movie. It's anxious. If you are having an anxious day, I don't recommend you go see it, but if you love being anxious in a horror movie, you're gonna love it. Another thing about the Book of the Dead, they never actually call it the Necronomicon, unless I missed it, and I could be wrong. I have to go and rewatch the movie. Things were happening very fast, but I seem to remember throughout when I was watching the movie, they never actually say the word Necronomicon. They just call it the Book of the Dead. And there is one line in there, and this is not going to ruin the movie for you in any way. There is one line in there that suggests that there are more volumes of it. So it's not the only Book of the Dead out there, which I think is a really interesting thing. And they could turn this into a whole other thing. Think Johnny Depp in The Ninth Gate, the rare book collector. Just kind of a random thought there. The violence and the gore factor in this is off the charts. I mean, it's an 11 on a scale of 1 to 10. There were moments where I even got a little queasy. And my friend Carlos did too. We were talking about that on the way back. And he was saying like, yeah, I almost wanted to look away at one point. So they really do an amazing job here. If you like gore in movies, this movie delivers. And it also delivers in the creepy factor. In fact, let's do a creepy factor on this movie. So, scale of 1 to 5, creepy factor. What say the Chrono Cabin algorithm on this one? Yes, I would easily say a 4. In fact, the creepiness almost reminded me of a movie that I really like, which I thought was very creepy, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. I did a video on that one. That movie is a little slower paced, but you are just on edge throughout the entire movie. And I felt the same way in this movie, although this movie has a lot more action. The lead actress that plays the main demon is absolutely fantastic, and she is terrifying. In fact, I even go back to kind of some of those images from Night of the Demons from back in the 80s. Believe it or not, that was all done with makeup, and the main demon was quite creepy. Even to this day, when you see that movie, still quite creepy, but this took the creepiness to a very, very good level. I like the fact that this is kind of a new storyline. It's kind of a new cast of characters. It's not the same going back to the woods. It's taking place in an urban area, much different, in an apartment building rather than a cabin in the forest, in the dark forest. And I think it's good that they did this, because I think if you try to do the same thing, it's going to stagnate the movie. It's going to stagnate the whole series. It's going to stagnate the Evil Dead itself, because I think all of that has been done. The era of Bruce Campbell and the era of Sam Raimi, when they did those original movies back then, they brought a comedic element and a creepiness element together, and I think that was an era unto its own. I don't think you would want to bring in a new character that has similar attributes as Ash, because Ash is an iconic character done by Bruce Campbell, and there is no other Bruce Campbell, and I think that this is a very good direction to go. On that basis, I think they're opening The Evil Dead up to a new generation of viewers. So there might be younger horror fans that really haven't seen the earlier versions of Evil Dead, and I think they're really gonna like this movie. I haven't really looked at the numbers in the box office. This movie's only been out for a week, but I think based on the success of this, they may continue this same storyline, and I hope they do, because I think this movie has opened a unique opportunity, an opportunity for a furthering of maybe the background of the Book of the Dead. There's a lot of avenues that can be taken here. I do hope that they continue this storyline, because I do kind of want to now know the history of the Book of the Dead. Maybe some more lore behind it. The Book of the Dead, it is featured pretty well in this movie. However, it is more about the family just trying to survive. The action, I could even relate to Train to Busan. I mean, that was just a high octane action movie. And this is almost, I would say, equally as much of an action movie, a thriller, as it is a horror movie. And bottom line, the acting was magnificent in this movie. There was no subpar acting to be seen anywhere. The actors were great. They sold it. The production value was fantastic. I really did like seeing it in the movie theater, because the sound department did such an amazing job on this movie. The sounds are just so at times screeching, but then just creepy and scary, and having it all around you is just a whole nother experience. So on that aspect, the sound department, the sound effects nailed it. The music composer nailed it. The score was right on par where it should be, and it was actually really great. There was some orchestral score in there, which I enjoyed. So I think, like Carlos said, if you like The Evil Dead, I think you'll really appreciate this. But certainly you'll appreciate this movie if you like gore, if you like creepiness, and you just like a lot of action, you just like being on the edge of your seat. If you're a real Evil Dead purist, I still think you're gonna like this movie, because I consider myself an Evil Dead purist. So does Carlos. I say get your friends together, get whoever together who enjoys horror, and go see this movie. It's a lot of fun. It's scary fun. It's scary fun. I'm definitely gonna watch this again. I probably won't go back to the theater to watch it, but I'll wait for it to come on to streaming services. But I'm definitely gonna give this another watch, maybe 3 or 4 times even. I mean, this was just really great. And just to see if I missed anything. It's not hard to follow or anything. It's just there's so much happening, and it happens very quick. I want to look back and see if there were any little Easter eggs from the older movies that I might have missed. But all in all, I just really had a great time. My friend had a great time, and it was just really fun. It was really fun to experience it in the theater with a good friend and just have a great scare. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe. That would really help my channel out. Also, you can ring the bell for future notifications. Thanks for coming along with me on the trip. Thanks for listening to my thoughts about it. And as always, keep watching those horror movies. I will see you soon.